Last week we started a mission to beat Terraria Spooky Mod not only in Master Mode but also before October 31st. Though if you haven't seen part 1 yet, I'd highly recommend pausing here to go check that out as it covers a ton of the unique features this mod has to offer. Either way, I hope you'll enjoy, and without any more wasted time, let's get into the video. Having just beaten Skeletron, we decided to make our way down into the dungeon. However, seeing as we already have an impressive roster of weapons, we did this not so much to upgrade our current gear but rather for monetary gain. And while we were looting, we got ourselves the typical items you would expect, such as the Muramasa and the Cobalt Shield. However, while we were down here, we also stumbled across several custom biome chests pertaining to the Spooky mod. And while yes, we still need to beat Plantair to open these chests, at least we now know where they are in case we manage to drop their respective keys later on. Once we were done looting the dungeon, however, we proceeded to head back home to see if our good friend Littlebone had any new advice for us. Down in the underworld beneath the jungle, you can find a really creepy biome filled with eyes. I do not like it there because it feels like I am being watched, but you look strong enough to explore it. Okay, so somewhere like around here, we need to make our way down to. So I think we should just make an actual elevator and then make our way over there and see what that biome's all about. So let's do that, I guess. After bridging for what felt like seemingly forever, we eventually found ourselves entering said biome of eyes, where we almost immediately came across a strange structure with a chest on top. Oh, a chest. Let's see what's in the chest. Oh. I see Z's over the chest. I don't trust it. Oh, the chest creature? Wait, what? Wait, you need some sort of steak? That's weird. Not knowing how to open these strange chest creatures, we continued to explore our surroundings, where we were introduced to several new enemies. Mr. Handy, the Manhole, Bat and Eye, along with the Tortumor. However, upon continuing to the right, we also came across an NPC inside of an extremely grotesque looking house. Whoa there, I was trying to take a nap. You must be a pretty curious adventurer to have found your way down here. Cauldron and quest. Okay, let's do quest first. Alright. So, there are 4 different flasks you can make that I can combine into something that will be helpful later. However, I am unable to gather the ingredients needed, so I'll need your help to find them, and then craft the flask with them. To make this first flask, you'll need the following: 5 Day Bloom, 5 Blink Root, 5 Moon Glow, 10 Purification Powder, and 1 glass bottle. Alright, let's see what Cauldron does. So you've never heard about my Cauldron, huh? Well, if you obtain a sentient heart, you can combine it with specific weapons to turn them into something a little crazy. Sentient hearts are dropped by large and strong creatures, so make sure to look out for them. Okay. So, I guess we're gonna need to get those ingredients, because that sounds pretty cool. However, wanting to explore a little further before going on Little Eye's quest, we continued to the right where we came across a massive purple egg along with a giant nose shrine. And while I have no idea what the egg was about, the giant nose reminded me of an item I came across while checking some crafting recipes: the Cotton Swab, a boss summon which can be used at the nose shrine to summon Mako. Wanting to fight Mako before entering hard mode, we went ahead and crafted ourselves the Cotton Swab, along with building a quick arena. And after drinking our potions, we proceeded to summon quite possibly one of the strangest bosses I've ever seen: a giant flying purple nose. Seeing as Mako is a giant nose, it should come with nose. Surprise that almost every attack this boss has involves mucus in some way, shape, or form. And while I do respect the dedication, I must admit that I was relatively grossed out during this boss fight. Unfortunately, despite getting Mako relatively low, we weren't able to defeat him on our first attempt, meaning we'd have to fight him a second time. And while we were on our way back to the nose shrine, we came across a giant Tortumor, which upon death proceeded to yield us a brand new summon, the Gore Staff. With our brand new summon, we went back and summoned Mako once more, where we mainly used the Book of Stinkology along with our B-Gun to deal the majority of our damage, and seeing as we now had a general idea of Mako's attack pattern, we found ourselves not only dodging a decent amount of his attacks, but also defeating him once and for all, granting us a sentient heart which will be incredibly useful for us once we enter hard mode, along with a couple other items I decided not to use. Before we went to fight the Wall of Flesh, we decided to head back to the Valley of Eyes to complete Little Eye's quest, and it's a good thing we did this because doing so rewarded us with chest monster food. With this item, we were able to open one of the chests we'd previously come across, yielding us a mage weapon called the Retina Staff, which would prove to be incredibly valuable to us in not only fighting the Wall of Flesh, but also for the start of hard mode. From here, we went back to the Little Eye to see what his next quest for us was, when we were ever so kindly greeted by the 3rd slime rain of this world. And while I was not necessarily what one would call happy to be dealing with another slime rain, at least we were able to get a quick sneak peek at what our brand new weapon was capable of doing. And I must say, I was rather impressed. After defeating King Slime, we once again returned to Little Eye to complete the second quest, where we got a goofy little hat along with a weapon called the Screeching Face. Oh, what is that? What is that? Oh dear God, what is that? Oh! It's like the baby. It's the baby all over again. I can barely move. I am holding down D. I am holding it down. I cannot move. I am dashing right now. I am dashing right now. Oh, I can't jump. This is awful. I'm upset. Why do I have to get all of the worst items? Why? Why? Anyway, after the incident, we completed the 2 remaining quests from Little Eye, allowing us to open the remaining 3 chests where we got the Fleshminster, the Eyelasher, and the Seer, all of which I'm sure are decent weapons for their respective classes, but will most likely be collecting dust during this playthrough. Having completed all 4 of Little Eye's quests, we decided that we were finally ready to fight the Wall of Flesh. So after extending the bridge a little further to the left, we tossed a guide voodoo doll into the lava, something I'm sure Daniel wasn't quite pleased about. For this fight, we made sure to use our Book of Stinkology in order to quickly dispose of the swarm of Hungries, while switching to our brand new Retina Staff to deal tons of damage to the main boss. However, as I said in the first part of this playthrough, it's not a Crispylink video unless I somehow throw an entire run for literally no reason, and today is no exception as I somehow forgot to dodge the eye lasers at the very end of this fight. Seeing as we got so close to entering hard mode, we knew it was only a matter of time before the Wall of Flesh fell. So after heading back to the bridge, we once again sacrificed our guide in the pursuit of progress. And while we did take a moment here and there to get rid of the Hungry, we mainly spent our time exclusively targeting the boss with a Retina Scepter, which apparently doesn't use any mana once all 5 eyes are already active, something I find to be quite interesting but also incredibly useful. Thankfully, we didn't have a repeat of our previous attempt, and we were finally able to take down the Wall of Flesh, not only bringing us into hard mode, but signaling that our adventure was officially halfway done. Actually, wait, hold up. Now that we're in hard mode, I want to quickly see what Littlebone has to say. We haven't really talked to Littlebone in a little while, so let's see. Now that you've defeated the Wall of Flesh, you should return to the catacombs. Apparently, if you can wake up and defeat the guardian in the deep catacombs, she will allow you to explore further. That's interesting. So, I have to go back to the catacombs, I guess. Not really too enthusiastic about that. After making our way back to the catacombs, we stumbled our way into a suspiciously large room which we previously hadn't come across, where we found another barrier preventing us from going any further, and upon looking up, we realized why. Oh. That's a giant sunflower. Oh, you're sleeping. I'm gonna have to wake you, aren't I? Okay. How do I do that? Okay, so I did some research, and it looks like we're gonna have to make ourselves a heavy brick. Which, to do so, we're gonna need 15 clay, 2 souls of night, and 2 souls of light. I didn't want to have to do research on this, but I've been here for quite a few minutes just trying to attack, to try to do anything and everything I could, and nothing was working, so I had to do some research. I don't know how you're supposed to figure that out for yourself, but I guess we have to do that now. So, after gathering all the materials needed, along with actually crafting the heavy brick itself, we headed back to the catacombs in order to wake the giant sleeping plant, who clearly was not pleased with our actions as she proceeded to give us an entire TED Talk before blasting a beam of pure, concentrated energy straight into our cranium. Given how this fight started off, we unsurprisingly ended up dying almost immediately, but what I was surprised to see, however, was that we were only dealing a singular damage per hit, and wanting to see if this was just a bug, we decided to try this fight for a second time, where we eventually realized that this low DPS was directly caused by our minion, who we immediately disabled after this realization. Despite finally being able to deal damage, we still had yet to learn how to dodge Daffodil's various attacks, resulting in us once again dying relatively early on. However, while preparing for another attempt at this boss, we were greeted by the first custom event this mod has to offer. A rave has started in the cemetery? What does that mean? Wait, hold up. I gotta go check this out. This is... I want to see what this is all about. Upon heading to the graveyard, we immediately came across an NPC called the Music Man, who was selling a bunch of developer masks along with various vinyl records, which, despite us not buying any, I feel is a pretty cool feature this mod has to offer. We also came across an incredibly suspicious skeleton who was trying to sell us a random assortment of items such as the strange video game, the analog TV, a flavor enhancer, an arcade cabinet, a creepy dog photo, a dreadful clarinet, along with some other items which I'm not quite sure if they mean anything. While we weren't able to find any other NPC shops during this event, we were able to talk with some of the partygoers who proceeded to make an ungodly number of skeleton puns, and I'm not sure about you guys, but I personally found this quite humorous. Anyway, once morning came around and the partying came to an end, we decided that we should probably get ourselves some quick upgrades before attempting another fight with Daffodil. So after mining some hellstone, breaking several altars, and working our way up through the various hard mode auras, we managed to craft ourselves a full set of adamantite armor, which greatly improved our defense. Looking for a better weapon, we ended up coming across a naturally spawning Crimson Mimic, and while this fight did take a considerable amount of time, we ended up getting ourselves the Life Drain, which was the item we were looking for, as we can combine it with our Sentient Heart from Mako in order to craft ourselves an AoE weapon called the Soul Sucker. From here, we made ourselves a quick mod farm for some money, more NPC housing for, well, NPCs, along with swapping out our lesser mana potions for greater mana potions and making ourselves the Charm of Myths. Feeling that we were finally ready to face Daffodil, we once again returned to the catacombs, managing to get into the second phase of the fight, where we found ourselves involuntarily playing a game of the floor is lava, except there is no lava and touching the ground instead results in a massive thorn ripping open your abdomen. Also, Daffodil apparently has a new attack, which unfortunately ended up killing us right before we would have won. Knowing we were so close to winning on our previous attempt, we rushed back to fight Daffodil once more, where after narrowly surviving another of these solar death beams, we finally managed to prove that we were in fact worthy of looting the lower catacombs.
Let's go. Alright. So you are powerful, fine. You may advance to the deeper catacombs. Okay. And you just go back to sleep. You don't die or anything. You just go back to sleep.
Once we entered the lower catacombs, it became obvious that this place was just as big and dark as the previous section, and seeing as loot was once again few and far between, I'm going to quickly skim over the more important and interesting things we'd come across. First of all, the monsters here were different, following the general theme of flowers such as Sunny, Marigold, Daisy, and Florence. These mobs also drop plant chunks which can be used to craft the same weapons that Daffodil drops, meaning that we technically don't need to fight this boss again if we don't want to. The catacombs itself also follow this flowery theme as well, with random flowers along with grass growing all over the place. There were also these secret tunnels which you could open using the occasional switch here and there, which was pretty cool, though pretty much all the rooms that they led to didn't have anything exciting in them. In terms of the loot we got, we managed to get an accessory called the Cross Charm, a melee weapon called the Bulb Bomb, and a really unique summon called the Hunter Soul Scepter. We also came across several other chests which didn't contain any weapons, along with plenty of trap chests which would either activate fire traps or send a boulder straight into your spine. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, but while we were exploring, we managed to find yet another section of the catacombs which was blocked off, which was a little strange as we hadn't come across any more boss rooms while we were down here. Anyway, after returning home from the catacombs, we decided to see if we could fight the mech bosses with our current gear. So we grabbed some potions and summoned the Destroyer, where we realized just how overpowered our Soul Sucker truly is when dealing with enemies with multiple segments, dealing nearly 10,000 damage per second given the right circumstances. Now I think this goes without saying, but given this absolutely ridiculous amount of damage, we were very easily able to defeat the first mech boss of this world. Seeing as we were able to defeat the Destroyer with such ease, we decided to try taking down the twins. However, seeing as there aren't lots of segments to abuse the AoE of our Soul Sucker, we instead found ourselves being humbled after getting turned into a rather large pile of ash by Spasmatism. Clearly needing better gear for the remaining mech bosses, we once again summoned the Destroyer in order to get enough hollow bars to make a full set of armor, where we somehow managed to beat this boss even faster than the first time, having gotten up to 30,000 damage per second at our absolute peak. Now that we had enough hollowed bars to make ourselves a full set of armor, we proceeded to do just that, along with buying ourselves a crystal ball, crafting the golden shower, and even making an artificial corruption in order to get ourselves the worm scarf. But right as we were about to summon the twins, we were instead greeted by the blood moon, which I'm not going to complain about too much seeing as we were able to get ourselves the top hat, making us so stylish that we very well could have become the 10th man ever to exist on the front cover of a Vogue magazine. However, what I am going to complain about is the fact that right after the blood moon ended, the game decided that now would be the perfect time to start a solar eclipse. So, after hiding away in our mob farm the entire day, we decided to give the twins another go. However, despite all of our new upgrades, we somehow ended up doing worse than our first attempt, dying before either boss could reach their mechanical form. Because of this, we made sure to add a couple heart statues, heart lanterns, campfires, and even a bass statue to the arena, where we managed to take down Spasmatism with relative ease, with Retinazer following not long after. Having but only a singular mech boss remaining, we once again returned to our arena the very next night in order to summon the General Grievous wannabe, Skeletron Prime. During this fight, we made sure to constantly lower Skeletron Prime's defense using the Golden Shower, though we mainly used our Soul Sucker to deal the vast majority of our damage, even managing to take down the Laser Arm in the process. While this fight was relatively straightforward, we found ourselves somehow surviving the Spinning Head of Doom not once, not twice, but maybe 3 times during this fight. I'm not quite sure if the third time necessarily counts as it was only very briefly, but regardless, even after all of that, we managed to not only survive, but to take down Skeletron Prime entirely, causing the jungle to grow ever so slightly restless. Anyway, now that we finally beat all 3 mech bosses, let's see what Littlebone has to say. Now that you've defeated all those giant robots, you can probably return to the Creepy Eye Valley. Apparently there's a skilled alchemist who resides in the Creepy Eye place who can create a special substance. Okay, so you're definitely talking about Little Eye here, who we have talked to, but there was a quest line that Little Eye mentioned after the one that we already did. So I guess we should probably go down there and take a look at what he wants us to do now. However, seeing as we've already accomplished so much today as it is, I think that now would be a good place to end part 2 of our journey. Though if you want to be notified when part 3 comes out, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, as that is proven to be the best way to know whenever I post another video. Anyway, thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.